Just about 8:30 in the morning, you are tuned to Grecian Echoes on WNTN 1550 AM in Boston. Grecian Echoes, the longest-running Greek-American radio broadcast program in the country. You are tuned to Mondays with Meleti, a radio program with your host Meleti Pouliopoulos that is aired every Monday from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. And at this time, we have a special program that we are going to be presenting this morning because there is good news for the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper. That was the headline that I read late last night. And joining us in the studio is Nancy Agris Savage. She is the daughter of the publisher Peter Agris of the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper. She is also the lead of the project and the effort to digitize and preserve over 50 years of Greek-American history. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Meleti.
And how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in.
And thanks for being my partner on this program.
It's so great to work with you, Nancy. You know, when we came up with the idea of saying the good news, we'll tell you what the good news is. We've raised over 50% of our fundraising goal. And so Nancy and I said, well, why don't we let people know and also invite people from the foundations who have donated to the project to and talk about the private donations we've received. But Nancy, this must be all like a dream come true for you.
It is. It is. I cannot imagine letting this this archive of 50 years of history of our community just disappear. The last time I was on the program, I tried to describe it visually as best I can. For those of us in the Greek-American heritage, we're used to dealing with phyllo dough. And this is exactly what is happening at the Archbishop Iakovos Library right now. The original archive, the only hardcover archive, is literally crumbling like phyllo dough on the kitchen counter. And if we don't get this done now, and I mean now, not next year or the year after, it might not be here to do anymore. So
that's right. It's one of those things that once it's gone, it's really gone.
It's really gone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you know, when you think about 50 years of Greek-American history, that's quite a span. When most of the Greeks, the first wave of immigration was in the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. So the time that your father started the newspaper, it had maybe been about 50 years that we had a big wave of Greek-American people. And he had a vision, didn't he?
He did. The vision really was that there were other newspapers that were geared toward, in Greek, news from Greece to the immigrants, the early generation. His desire was to have Greek Americans who were assimilating first and second generations be in contact with each other. So as we were assimilating, we were also still staying connected across the country and keeping in touch, supporting each other, keeping in touch with what we were doing, supporting candidates, businesses, matchmaking,
just about
whatever it might be.
Yeah, and looking back at those newspapers now, they stand as the evidence of the development of the Greek Orthodox Church in America, of all of our communities. Even though this paper was published in Boston, it had national and international news. And
yes, it did.
You didn't. And what I remember seeing. Oh, I think we have a caller coming in, Nancy.
Okay.
We have calling in on the line, I believe it's Basil Mossaides, who is the National Executive Director of the American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, the AHEPA. And Basil, we had spoken with Basil, I guess, what was it, about a month or two ago, and he had mentioned that he knows your father, and so we asked him if he would join us on the program.
Not only my father, but also my uncle, George Anagnostis, who was the managing editor of the Hellenic Chronicle for several years up to closing with us, and also was a Supreme Lodge officer and District 8 officer of AHEPA. So
Yeah, there was, and Basil, are you with us? Can you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
There you are.
Good morning. Thank you for.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. You are on the air at WNTN 1550 AM in Boston. We're streaming over the internet, and we also have a Facebook Live going. So
Great.
thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
We were just, I don't know if you could hear us talking, but we were wondering, you had some history with the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper when Nancy had written to you and mentioned that her father and her uncle were in the AHEPA. You knew that, and you knew about the paper.
Yes, I did. I have a long history with the AHEPA myself. I joined in 1982 in Philadelphia, and immediately was very active with the youth group, the Sons of Pericles, where I became the Supreme President. So on a national level, I was involved with the AHEPA or parts of the AHEPA family since 1985. So I used to subscribe to the paper. My dad actually did in Philadelphia, but we didn't get delivery of the paper. So he would send money just to support a Greek paper. And then when I came to Washington in 1990. It was one of the newspapers that our national office would get, in addition to all the other ones. So I knew Peter. I met him once or twice. I spoke to him on the phone far more often when I was in Washington, as well as George. George and I had a much closer relationship because George also edited the AHEPA magazine, which is currently still in publication. So I had a lot of interaction with George over the years, but also with Peter. We were sponsors or supporters of the Chronicle as an organization, and as were many of our chapters in the New England area.
Basil, I hope you don't mind that I'm going to also mention that the AHEPA magazine was published and laid out all the graphics and everything for many years in the Newbury Street offices of the Hellenic Chronicle.
No kidding.
Yes, it was, because my dad was also the national communications director for AHEPA for many years. So,
right, that was a little before my time, but that's correct. This is one of the metamorphoses of our newsletter. Of course, it began in 1923 as a newspaper. The AHEPA was called the AHEPA Bulletin, and then it went through several different changes. But the final, the layout that we use today was established back then by Peter and George and others that were in that industry.
Well, just goes to show what a long history the Hellenic Chronicle and the AHEPA have together, personally and through communication. So it's great to have you with us this morning, and great to have you partnering with us on the project.
Yes.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you, Basil. The AHEPA, founded in 1922 in Atlanta, Georgia. Here in the United States and around the world, there are over 400 chapters. The United States, Canada, and Europe. It was just a couple of weeks ago that I received an email from the head of the AHEPA in Athens, Greece. And we were having a conversation. He was very interested in the work that we're doing. And because this preservation, this history, I mean, there's the AHEPA history is in those newspapers, as you said, Basil. It's just a wonderful thing. If you'd like to stay on the line with us just a little longer, if you have some time, we have in the studio the president of the Alpha Omega Council of New England, Mr. Nick Ypsilantis. Nick, kalimera.
Kalimera, Meletios. It's nice to be here on a Monday morning. I'm usually here for the bench warmers.
You are.
And it's nice to see Nancy.
We want to say that the Alpha Omega Council, this project is actually in the Alpha Omega Council's umbrella right now, and it was Nick Ypsilantis that supported us right from the beginning.
Very much so.
Along with the whole membership, but also a shout out to the first people I went to go and see about this project even before I partnered with you, Nick Kourtis and Peter Lemonius, who have been on board since day one, and really cannot not mention them because they've been right straight through with us. So.
Right. It's
On
just,
point.
Lots of
and
good
two
people.
past presidents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nick, I know we know the mission of the Alpha Omega Council. Clearly, this fits in your mission, but we also should say that the council had given $10,000 to this project to kick off. It's one of those things like we say at a dance: someone's has to start.
Somebody's
got
to get up and do it.
Yes.
And I think
You
that's
know,
what it was.
Absolutely.
And but also you understood how important this was. For Hellenism, for our heritage.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in 50 years if, we didn't save our newspapers,
Well, all of these gifts would have been gone, and when Nick and Peter approached me about this project, with Nancy, it just met all of the mission: promote Hellenism,
Right.
unite Greek Americans, recognize achievement. I mean, it was. It was a no-brainer, and most importantly, Peter Agris, a founding member of Alpha Omega Council. So, how could you not? And the preservation. I mean, Meleti sent me a few weeks ago my baptismal announcement, which was obviously I never read that. So, but it's
Awesome.
that capture that would have been gone, and it's still you are both working hard and being in the business of document management and preservation of documents. I know how hard that is and how delicate these things are, these papers at this point. I mean, like you said, phyllo dough, it's not even wet phyllo dough, it's the dry phyllo dough.
That's the point. Yeah,
After
that's
you
the
cook
point.
it. So, so not recognizing that would have been a failure, and it would have been lost forever. So you have one chance at it.
Right.
So that's what Alpha Omega, we felt strongly, and the membership approved it.
And thank God, Nick, that you got behind it and you do understand the technology and you do understand how important it is. Every project needs a spokesperson. And I want to say personally, thank you very, very much for the initial support and the ongoing support you have given us here. Basil, is this a project you think that the AHEPA would be interested in perhaps kicking in some funding? Is that something we can look into?
So, thank you for the question. I think when I spoke to Nancy, I expressed to her our interest in this preservation, which is fundamentally a very important, if not the most important part of any organization, preserving your history. I think people that don't appreciate history don't really understand the value in preserving this material. So, briefly, to answer your question, yes, which opens up another can of worms for me, because what we do at National is we need to raise money for everything that we do. So currently we raise funds to preserve, through our archive committee, to preserve our AHEPA magazine, which we're doing in reverse order. We're working from the most recent backwards, because the production systems today are all digitized. So they're very easy to get digital copies of the magazine I made last week. So every time we issue a new magazine, we digitize one, and we pay for that. So we're currently doing that at headquarters. In order for us to raise funds for the preservation of the Chronicle, which is, I think, very manageable, it's just a matter of structuring up a plea to our members, especially in the New England area, because we have several hundred chapters between New York and Maine that would be able to donate something for this project. So the answer to your question is yes. I think that we'd be interested in working together because of the close ties that we have with the Chronicle and the family, that we would undergo something like that. But it would not be when you say project, it would not be, we have certain classification of projects. We have national projects, which all of our chapters have to participate in. And then we have projects which are more initiatives rather than projects. So this would be something towards that, like an initiative for the Hellenic Chronicle.
That's excellent, Basil. Thank you so much. Basil Mossaides, who's the, am I giving your title the right credit here? You're the National Executive Director of the AHEPA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And ahepa.org, you can take a look at their website, and please think about joining. You know, the AHEPA is one of the largest and strongest organizations here in America. Very, very rich history.
We'll be celebrating our 100th anniversary next year in Athens, Greece. We are taking our 99th convention will be in Greece, which will kick off our 100th anniversary celebrations in 2022.
Fantastic, fantastic. Congratulations. That's such good news. Thank you so much for joining us, Basil.
Thank you for having me, and good luck with all your endeavors. Thank you, Nancy, and everybody.
Thank you, Basil. Thank
Take
you.
care.
All the best.
These from Basil Mossaides from the National AHEPA, the Executive Director. And we have in our studios Nick Ypsilantis. Nick, are you leaving us? How are you?
No, I can hang out for a bit. You know,
Hang out
I'm a
for
little
a
tired
bit.
today. So
Are you really?
a busy weekend.
The coffee is on. The
That
New
coffee
England
was much needed, let me tell you. So it was great.
That's
So,
excellent.
I'll hang out as long as you'd like.
Oh, excellent. I'd like to get in a couple of commercials if it's okay. Give us
Sure.
a chance to take a breath. You are tuned to WNTN 1550 AM in Boston, a special program on the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper, saving 50 years of Greek American history. Stay tuned.
Make sure to tune in to The Benchwarmers, Sundays from 12 to 1 p.m. Presented to you in part by Jim and Sally Kalianides.
Grecian Echoes is presented to you in part on behalf of the family of Mr. George Danis.
And now it's time for Greek Inventions that change the world, brought to you by the Davos family. It's hard to imagine a world without the concept of money. Love it or hate it, money drives the world we live in, and this form of credit can be traced back to ancient Greece. Greeks known as the Lydians were the first people to use circular metal pieces, or coins, in exchange for goods and services. Without this form of trading, who knows what the world's economy would be like today? It's possible that without them, we'd still be trading goats.
Looking for a business advisor? Nick Papakirikos offers a variety of business services to help grow your business. Services include proactive business tax planning, financial statement preparation, as well as business profitability and performance analysis, consultation and assistance with your lender financing, and business planning to help you pursue your goals. For any inquiries, contact Nick Papakirikos at nick@papakirikoscpa.com and at 617-415-5015, or visit his office at 60 Leo Birmingham Parkway in Boston. Nick Papakirikos, Certified Public Accountant.
The Alpha Omega Council's primary mission is to unite Americans of Hellenic ancestry in order to promote and encourage loyalty and patriotism to the United States of America, while simultaneously cultivating the ideals of Hellenism. And the Council's membership is made up of successful professionals representing virtually every industry. Each year they give out scholarships and help out various Greek American charities. Good morning from the Alpha Omega Council.
And good morning. You are tuned to WNTN 1550 AM in Boston. We have a special program celebrating the good news. That's the headlines. The headlines I saw yesterday was good news for the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper. We have another caller on the line. Good morning. You are tuned to Grecian Echoes, Mondays with Meleti.
Oh, good morning, Meleti. This is Jane Kourtis.
Good morning, Jane. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for calling in.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Jane. It's Nancy.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning. I heard the preview for the show, and I wanted to call in, make sure I was on time and ready to go.
You are on time, and I know, it's one of those things we're scheduling, I guess, in 10-minute segments. There's a lot of people this morning, but I was so pleased, and thank you so much on behalf of the project to the Hellenic Women's Club, EOK. Jane Kourtis is from this philanthropic organization that has been around for years, and if I'm not mistaken, Jane, I think around 1936.
Yes.
It began.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that, about your organization and the philanthropy.
Thank you, Meletios. Kalimera σε όλους. Χρόνια πολλά για την ημέρα. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today to represent the Hellenic Women's Club EOK. The organization has been in existence, as you said, Meletios, since 1936, which is really phenomenal. And in my estimation of my endeavors and seeing how much commitment it takes to do something even for a short period, let alone for so many years. But the organization was begun by a small group of women who believed in the Hellenic ideals and in helping others, and the initial part of their mission was to help the Greek war orphans of the World War II and the following Civil War, and the efforts continued through the present day from various other charities that are in the local area, Hellenic as well as Philhellene organizations. And one of them, most recently, is the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper project.
Thank you so much. And so this seems to be a very good fit for your organization.
Well, very much so, because, first of all, I didn't have the privilege of meeting Mr. Agris, but Mrs. Agris was a member of EOK for many years, and and I had the privilege of meeting her. And we were the beneficiaries as an organization of the coverage of the Hellenic Chronicle for many years, and we're very, very grateful for that.
Jane, are you from Massachusetts originally?
Originally, I am from Annapolis, Maryland. So I didn't, it was actually really, I moved up here when I was 14 years old, and we lived in Lexington. I remember going to St. Nicholas Church, and on the counters there, we would, the newspaper would offer a number of complimentary copies, and I remember picking one up every Sunday at church and bringing it home and reading it from cover to cover. It was, as a teenager, I was so excited to see all the coverage, all the events, all the Goya events, and then when I was in college, all the y'all events. And really, we've been so privileged as a community to have had such a wonderful legacy. And so when the project came up to preserve this, and I saw actually some of the crumbling pages and the possibility that this important work could be lost, I definitely was very much impassioned to try to do something to preserve it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Excuse me. Yes, Jane, good morning. Our families have been close for years. I don't know if you and your wonderful husband, Nick, have been listening earlier on, but I did want to make absolutely clear the incredible role that Nick and Peter Lemonius have played in this project. So thankful to them, so thankful to the EOK for the $5,000 donation and partnering with us. It's, it is also the history of the EOK on these pages, that 50-year chunk of its history. And so I'm happy that we're helping each other out in this way. And also, we would be remiss in not mentioning the incredible role that your parents and your father have played in this community. Father George Papadimitriou, who at St. Demetrius we are still blessed to have in the altar, not right today, these days, but as often as possible. And he was a huge, huge role in this archdiocese and in the life of Hellenic College. And I know that you're going to find a lot of articles from him in these papers, in these pages. So
I know. Thank you, Nancy. That's really very kind of you to say. And I wanted to say that the vote to give to the Hellenic Chronicle project was unanimous on the part of EOK, and everybody is 100% supportive of the effort, and it was really, I think, wonderful that it's a partnership with Alpha Omega Council, the fact that there's a 501c3 that can accept donations. I think that's important to also emphasize for anyone who's interested to give. And so I really applaud you, Nancy. Μπορώ να πω και δύο λόγια στα ελληνικά?
Ναι, παρακαλώ.
Ευχαριστώ. Καλημέρα σε όλους και πάλι. Θέλω να πω δύο λόγια για αυτό το project, εάν έχει ενδιαφέρον η κοινότητά σας. Και προσωπικά είναι ένα πολύ σπουδαίο project, επειδή για όλα τα χρόνια η οικογένεια του Agris έδωσε τόσο μεγάλο θησαυρό στη κοινότητα για τόσα χρόνια, και θαυμάσω που είναι η κόρη τους προσπαθεί η Nancy Agris Savage προσπαθεί να κάνει να το κρατήσει, και της δίνω μεγάλα συγχαρητήρια και να γνωρίσουν αυτό το έργο και να το υποστηρίξουμε.
Oh, σας ευχαριστούμε. Jane, you speak Greek so well. Did you go to Greek school?
I went to Greek school for all the years. My mother was the Greek school teacher and director, and I got a beautiful foundation. And now I'm a little rusty, Meleti, but I still really value the Greek language. I tried to pass it on to our children, and it's so rich and so beautiful that I don't want to lose it. So, but pardon my rustiness, though.
Oh no, thank you. It's beautiful listening.
Jane, for a refresher course, because I'm definitely losing mine. So
I know.
Well, thank you again. HellenicWomansClub.org is the website. And take a look at that, folks. If you're listening, please visit and see all the wonderful things that they're doing. And again, thank you so much for supporting this effort, Jane. And I'm really pleased to hear that it was a unanimous kind of thing.
And best wishes as you now take over the chairmanship, the presidency of this really dynamic organization, dynamic group of women who've made such a difference.
Thank you all. And so we have upcoming. We're very excited about the upcoming year. Despite the pandemic, unfortunately we had to cancel the Mistletoe Ball. But stay tuned. We have some other things coming up, and we will be letting you know about them as soon as they're firmed up.
All the best to the family. Stay well, Jane.
Okay, Nancy. Ευχαριστώ πολύ, Meleti.
Ευχαριστώ. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. What a great phone call. That was Jane Kourtis from the Hellenic Women's Club EOK. They've donated $5,000 to the project. They're very excited. And we're excited. Coming up in about 15 seconds, we have the news report with Nicoletta. Please stay tuned to Grecian Echoes, this special celebrating the good news for the Hellenic Chronicle newspaper here on WNTN 1550 AM.
Our top of the hour news report this morning is presented to you in part by the National Hellenic Society and Chairman Drake Paraschos.
Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλημέρα σας. Ακούτε τις ειδήσεις από την ελληνική ηχό από την Νικολέτα Παπαδόγιαννη. Την Καλιφόρνια αναμένεται να επισκεφθεί σήμερα ο πρόεδρος των ΗΠΑ Ντόναλντ Τραμπ, προκειμένου να ενημερωθεί για τις πυρκαγιές που πλήττουν τις Δυτικές Ηνωμένες Πολιτείες. Την ίδια ώρα ο πολιτικός του αντίπαλος και δημοκρατικός υποψήφιος για την προεδρία Τζο Μπάιντεν αναμένεται να αναφερθεί στο θέμα στη διάρκεια ομιλίας του στο Ντέλαγουερ, φέρνοντας το ζήτημα της κλιματικής αλλαγής στο προσκήνιο της προεκλογικής του εκστρατείας. Στα ελληνοτουρκικά την πεποίθηση πως η Τουρκία δεν περιμένει πως η Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση θα της επιβάλλει κυρώσεις ως αποτέλεσμα της έντασης που έχει σημειωθεί τον τελευταίο καιρό μεταξύ της Ελλάδας και της γειτονικής χώρας στην Ανατολική Μεσόγειο, εξέφρασε ο Τούρκος Υπουργός Εξωτερικών. Την παραίτησή της υπέβαλε η μεταβατική κυβέρνηση στην Ανατολική Λιβύη, η οποία ελέγχεται από τον στρατηγό Χαλίφα Χάφταρ μετά την πυρπόληση της έδρας της στη Βενγκάζη από διαδηλωτές. Ο Πρωθυπουργός υπέβαλε την παραίτησή του στη Λιβική Βουλή, που εδρεύει και αυτή στη Βενγκάζη. Να περάσουμε στο μέτωπο του κοροναϊού. Ο Παγκόσμιος Οργανισμός Υγείας ανακοίνωσε αύξηση ρεκόρ των ημερήσεων κρουσμάτων παγκοσμίως, με το συνολικό αριθμό τους να αυξάνεται κατά 307.000 το τελευταίο 24ωρο. Η μεγαλύτερη αύξηση καταγράφηκε στην Ινδία, στις Ηνωμένες Πολιτείες και στη Βραζιλία. Τα Αμερικανικά Κέντρα Ελέγχου και Πρόληψης Ασθενειών ανακοίνωσαν 6.367.000 κρούσματα, μια αύξηση 40.000 κρουσμάτων σε σχέση με την προηγούμενη καταμέτρησή τους. Εδώ στη Μασαχουσέτη 14 άνθρωποι έφυγαν χθες και 267 άτομα τα οποία υποβλήθηκαν στο τεστ βρέθηκαν θετικά. Στην Ελλάδα, λίστα μέτρων που θα κλιμακώνονται τοπικά ή γενικά για τον περιορισμό της διασποράς του ιού ζήτησε από την Επιτροπή των Ειδικών του Υπουργείου Υγείας ο Κυριάκος Μητσοτάκης και τα μέτρα αναμένεται να ανακοινωθούν αύριο Τρίτη. Στο μεταναστευτικό, μετά τις εσωτερικές της διαφορές σχετικά με τον τρόπο αντιμετώπισης των προσφύγων από τον καταβλισμό προσφύγων στη Μόρια, η αυστριακή κυβέρνηση συνασπισμού του Λαϊκού Κόμματος και των Πρασίνων προχωρά σε κοινή απόφαση για ένα άμεσο πακέτο έκτακτης βοήθειας. Όπως ανακοίνωσε την επόμενη εβδομάδα το Αυστριακό Υπουργείο Εσωτερικών, πρόκειται να στείλει στην Ελλάδα 400 πλήρως εξοπλισμένα καταλύματα για τους πληγέντες. Να περάσουμε στις οικονομικές ειδήσεις. Άνοδος 0,48% και στις 27.665,64 μονάδες έκλεισε την Παρασκευή ο Dow Jones στο 1,18 ισοτιμία ευρώ-δολαρίου. Και να ολοκληρώσουμε το δελτίο με την πρόγνωση για τον καιρό. Ηλιοφάνεια σήμερα στην ευρύτερη περιοχή της Μασαχουσέτης με τον υδράργυρο στους 77 βαθμούς. Ηλιοφάνεια και αύριο με πτώση της θερμοκρασίας και τον υδράργυρο στους 66 βαθμούς. Παρόμοιο το σκηνικό του καιρού και την Τετάρτη με τον υδράργυρο στους 76 βαθμούς. Στο σημείο αυτό, κυρίες και κύριοι, το σύντομο δελτίο ειδήσεων έφτασε στο τέλος. Η ενημέρωση σας από την ελληνική ηχό είναι μια προσφορά από τους αγγελιοδότες της ελληνικής ηχούς και τα μέλη του Grecian Echoes Nation. Να έχετε καλή ακρόαση.
AGS Physical Therapy, your resource in Watertown for personal physical therapy services and more. Among their services are isokinetics, Pilates exercising, trigger point therapy, Tai Chi strengthening, myofascial release techniques, pain management, and post-orthopedic surgery therapies. Visit their offices at 372 Main Street in Watertown or call 617-923-8284. That's under the direction of George Stamatopoulos, AGS Physical Therapy.
And now it's time to celebrate great Greek-American athletes, brought to you by the Sidorides family. Harry Aganis is without question the most famous Greek athlete in Boston. Nicknamed the Golden Greek, Harry Aganis shined as a two-sport athlete, playing quarterback at BU and eventually turning down a professional football career for his favorite sport, baseball. Aganis impressed the Red Sox, and after just one season of minor league baseball, he became their starting first baseman in 1954. Sadly, Aganis became ill in 1955 and eventually died from his illness later that same year. Boston University's athletic arena is named in his honor.
Η εταιρεία Catania Spagna Corporation εδώ και 35 χρόνια επεξεργάζεται, συσκευάζει, εμπορεύεται και εξάγει πρώτης ποιότητας λάδι λιανικός ή χοντρικός. Προσφέρει ακόμη organic no-GMO λάδια, λάδι για τηγάνισμα, μαγειρικά λίπη και προϊόντα ομορφιάς με κύριο συστατικό το λάδι. Ιδρύθηκε το 1945 και διαθέτει τα προϊόντα της μέσω διανομέων και αντιπροσώπων στις Ηνωμένες Πολιτείες. Η έδρα της είναι το Άγερ της Μασαχουσέτης και το τηλέφωνο επικοινωνίας είναι το 978-772-7900.
Γκρέκο, ελληνικό, γευστικό, παραδοσιακό φαγητό. Γύρος όπως σας αρέσει. Στο 225 Newberry Street, στο Seaport 200 Pier 4 και Downtown 1 Milk Street. Γκρέκο, ελληνικό, γευστικό, παραδοσιακό φαγητό.
Boy, when I start hearing those advertisements for food, it makes me kind of hungry. We're back on Grecian Echoes Mondays with Meletios, a special program celebrating the good news for the Hellenic Chronicle. We have started our digitization project, and through the generous donations of several organizations, including the Lingos Foundation, and so we have, I believe, on the line, who is calling now, Nancy? You tell us.
We're trying to get two of the primary sisters, the Lingos family, from the Lingos Family Foundation, Tammy and Tania Lingos. Do we have you both on?
This is Tania. Can you hear me?
Hi, Tania.
Yes, we can. Hi, good morning.
Oh, also known as Dr. Tania Webb.
Oh, okay.
Lingos Webb, yes. Also a member of EOK, and she and her sisters have done an amazing job carrying on a legacy of philanthropy that her parents, Dr. John and Sonia Lingos, started. They were active members of Brockton, active members of Alpha Omega, and just incredibly well known and respected, and like second parents to me, I might say. Just great people.
Nancy, I think that really is true. Your parents held such special places in both my sisters and my heart, and also our parents. They went back a long way. I remember lots and lots of animated, wonderful conversations and evenings and weddings together also. So I think Tammy's on hold, but I'm not sure how we're merging.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, we can hear you. Hello.
Technology enters the Lingos family. Amazing.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, good morning. Good morning. So, where did you folks grow up in Brockton?
Go ahead, Tammy. You tell them.
We did. We grew up in Brockton, and then my dad was smart, and he bought a little cottage on Cape Cod in 1963. So that's how our life was based. Summers on the Cape, Brockton, year-round.
And my father was born in Brockton. Our mother was born in Chelsea, actually. She was not Greek. She was Russian Orthodox. But because we grew up in Brockton and the Greek church was there, we all went there. And even though my mother was considered a Kseni, they loved her dearly.
That's just so wonderful. And they began a foundation I understand in 1994 and 91. Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
1991.
No worry.
And philanthropic. I'm just from your website. I had seen that you've extended grants to the Museum of Fine Arts, to the Lenny Zakem Fund. And just several different, the Milton Academy to Trinity College, and this is just so wonderful that you've donated here to the project. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and I would also add our parents were so dedicated to the church. Lots of donations and scholarships to numerous members of the Brockton community, and I would say hundreds of scholarships over the years. So education and faith were of primary importance to them.
Meletios, can I say a couple of things?
Yes, please.
Thank you, because it's great people talk so nicely about my parents. I am honored, I miss them terribly, but we're here to talk about a project. So can I just get to that fast?
Yes, please.
I am calling out to everybody. Today, everybody is in financial uncertainty, but everybody should donate to this project. It's all we have as our roots. As we lose the senior members, we lose history. So this is history that Peter put together. We've got to do it. I have a quick idea. yes, it costs money to do this project. Let's get the younger kids, some of them who have been given Peter Agris scholarships, to do some work as an internship.
Thank
This way
you.
we get the younger people under our apron strings, so to speak. Okay? Finally, there's a couple things. Thank you to Orestes and Chloe and Peter and Ann Agris. We all were together in a clan. Helen Daphnis, I just want to say her name. She had a pencil and a paper like an old-fashioned news reporter. She, by hand, created so much of this legacy.
You are absolutely right on all those fronts, and let me just say thank you for the donation. Great minds think alike. Meleti and I are well on our way to advertising for 2 interns, preferably of Greek American heritage, someone in the area of journalism or library sciences, document preservation, that we can provide some free training and resume building, networking opportunity, but who would be involved in learning about the OCR software and this exciting project. So that is something we're working on. But thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that. And also, I'm going to take advantage of the opportunity to follow on your call for donations. As Meleti said, we just passed the halfway mark. We still have 25,000 to go to finish this project. All 50 years. Please, we will accept any amount. We know people have differing financial situations. Any donation can be made out to the Alpha Omega Council memo line, the Hellenic Chronicle Digitization Project, P.O. Box 752, Foxborough, Mass., zip code 02035.
And that's it. And if you didn't write that down, we will mention it again before the end of the program. And still, if that's not soon enough, you can always just do a search on Hellenic Chronicle newspaper, and you're going to see news bulletins. We've been supported by a number of news organizations that have helped us to get out the word. So.
Can I add? I'm being really quiet here, but it's so important that all these organizations and foundations are donating, but it's the individuals that are so critically important to bring it up. You know, we need to finish this off. Yeah. So take advantage of this, of preserving our heritage, our culture, the history of all of Greek organizations, from the EOK to the Alpha Omega, AHEPA, Goya. I just saw Nick Chiotis' wedding announcement in one of the old papers. So, you know, all that will be gone. So I can't encourage more. In fact, I got to go home and get my checkbook. I haven't done one personally, and I will.
There you go.
How's that? I commit to that. So.
Setting the good example.
Absolutely.
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much. Nancy, why don't you give out the information again now? I think people are probably grabbing their pencils or pens.
Okay.
Please.
Alpha Omega Council, memo line, the Hellenic Chronicle Digitization Project, P.O. Box 752, Foxborough, Mass. 02035. And, you know, if you have somebody's anniversary coming up, your parents maybe make, instead of flowers or something, and you can't go out to dinner, maybe you make a donation in their honor, in their memory, because,
great idea.
You know, we were kind of off camera, but Meleti last week made a search on Nick Ypsilantis' name, the last name Ypsilantis. And how many hits did you...
Just in a 15-year span, we were doing from 1968 through 1985, there were 237 hits. And so you can imagine, and I learned a lot about your family as I was going.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Just one name.
Dr. and Mrs. Lingos.
Oh my
and
God.
4 successful daughters and their families.
please,
I cannot even imagine the
no.
number of
It's really
hits. There'll
not
be
that
a million.
Nancy, I think we printed up something. Is there a photo? Did we get a photo in on them? Please take a look. Because Dr. John Lingos, I wanted to look up the history, you know, and I did a curiosity search. But that's really what the project is. There's 2 phases of it. Of course, the big thing is preservation, but we also want to be able to access this material. So it's going to be online. It'll be free access. You'll be able to do searches in this manner. And did you see? There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. What a great picture this is. The oath of office was administered to the newly elected Board of Trustees of the Annunciation Church of Brockton. You know what I love about this? Oh, girls, this is fantastic. I have to send it to you. It's from 1977. Everybody in the on the entire board, including, God rest his soul, Chris Saganis, all men and Mrs. Sonia Lingos. Oh my God, I love this.
Oh, Nancy, that's wonderful. Thank you. We remember your parents with this absolute magical fondness. They don't make them like that anymore. So we have to keep their memories eternal.
Yes.
Was your father Italy?
Say that again.
I couldn't hear you.
Say that again.
Was your father from Lesbos?
My father, yes. My grandparents were from Lesbos.
It all makes sense now. Okay.
Because our father was also Mytilene, so there was a special bond. So they would gang up against Chris Saganis, your father and our father.
That's right.
Oh, good luck, Kali Tiki.
Thank you. Thanks so much, you guys. You've been terrific. Keep up the great work, and best to your families, and everybody stay healthy and well, and thanks again for everything.
And you do the same, and bravo, and congratulations for doing this. It's so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we just heard from Tammy and Tania Lingos from the Lingos Foundation, a philanthropic organization, who have given $5,000 to the Hellenic Chronicle digitization project. And they've also put out a challenge. And Nick Ypsilantis is here from the Alpha Omega Council. And we're all saying that we really need your help. To complete our project, our fundraising goal. Although we didn't intend this to be a marathon, it's more of an information sharing. Hey, if we don't say it, how are people going to know?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and it is a tax-deductible donation. The Alpha Omega Council is a nonprofit, a 501c3, I think.
Correct.
Yep. So you can get your Nick. What is going on now? This year, in the fall. Usually you have your annual gala, and you have Nancy does the there's a special ceremony for the scholarships, and then you celebrate someone. Did you still pick someone a person of the year?
We did, but with the cancellation, we're reassessing. We're going to push it off to 2021. But we've had an exciting weekend ago, not this past weekend, but with the annual, and I don't want to forget about the education component, the scholarship program. We want to talk about that, but the annual Boston Marathon, the Alpha Omega Council, dating back to Nancy's father, would be in collaboration, I guess, with the Greek Consulate of Boston, to bring the wreaths from Marathon, Greece. And they would be presented or adorn the winners of the Boston Marathon each year. And there are 4 wreaths, men and women runner, men and women wheelchair. And obviously this year there was no running, so what the Alpha Omega Council decided to do, and we did it with, again, cooperation and collaboration with the Greek Consulate, and I see the Consul General will be calling in a little bit, is that we gave them back to the city as gifts, so that people could see them and enjoy them and understand, and made this an education component. What do the wreaths represent? Where are they from? Why is it a race called a marathon? Well, it's from Marathon, Greece. So it's all this education. So we did a presentation ceremony to the 26.2 Foundation. which is a nonprofit that really right now is going to be looking to build an international marathon museum in Hopkinton. And our friend and good friend of Alpha Omega Council, Tim Kilduff, we gave BAA, Boston Athletic Association, a gift. We gave the Sports Museum so that people can go see the wreath, and of course to the Greek Consulate. So that was our effort, but I also don't want to forget about this. So important that we continue, Nancy continued with the Agris scholarship program. So we are still going to be, Nancy's still going to be distributing 6 scholarships.
Really?
Right?
That's wonderful.
Next week we're going to do a digital presentation, getting creative like everybody else is. We have 6 wonderful kids from across the country, 3 master's degrees in journalism, and really just phenomenal young people starting in fields of communication, and happy to report that Mike Dukakis is never lets us down, going on 87. He's gonna be right on board. He said, send me the Zoom link and I want to come and help them present. So never lets us down.
That is so wonderful.
Yeah,
and I understand that for many years you did have a partner in the education field, Dr. Manny Paraschos.
Oh, yes.
Who
been incredibly helpful to us on the scholarship. Just recently retired from long career at Emerson College and graduate journalism program. Came and helped us present the scholarships, I think, 2 years ago. And has done phenomenal work of his own in preservation. So really happy that he's with us today.
Yes, kalimera, Manny.
Kalimera, Meletios, τι κάνεις?
Καλά, και εσείς? Όλα καλά?
Everybody, okay. So far, so good.
That's great. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Nancy had extended the invitation to say you are Professor Emeritus of Journalism at Emerson College. And the scholarships, Nancy, was it for journalism students? Is that correct?
Journalism and communications, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Excellent. Dr. Paraschos, if I may, Manny, you had done something many years ago. You started a project called the Boston Journalism Trail. And is the website still available to people so they can
absolutely,
see?
Yes. I have 2 major studies that I keep up daily almost. One is the Boston Journalism Trail, which reflects and describes the history of American journalism that started in Boston in 1690. And that site has been around 11 years and has more than 2 million hits.
No kidding.
So
That's fantastic.
I'm proud of that, yes. So if I had monetized it somehow, Meletios, I wouldn't be here now. I would be somewhere on vacation. Yeah.
Well, that's too funny.
And the other one is that may be of interest to your listeners is that the first Greeks of Boston, that's another. All these studies are, 2 studies are online, and anybody can have access to them. It's comprehensive. They have a lot of details, a lot of old photographs, et cetera, et cetera. So those are the 2. But the Boston Journalism Trail is the one that's creating the big commotion has created over the years. So that's available online you can Google Boston Journalism Trail.
And Greeks have quite a history in journalism and publication, isn't that right?
Yes, absolutely. And the first Greek American newspaper appeared here in Boston, edited by an MIT student who was from Nautica, I forget the
Kalimnos, was it?
No, but it's close. I'll remember it in a minute. Anyway, he used to work for a newspaper in Constantinople, where he studied at the Halki School, and then he came here. He was admitted to MIT, and he published the paper. And we have not been able to find a copy of it. But several historians remember it and mention it. His name was Konstantin Fasularidis, and he was from Nisyros, northwest of Rhodes.
Nisyros.
Nisiros, yes. And the name of the paper was Neos Cosmos, New World, published March 25th, 1892. Now, as I said, unfortunately, we have not been able to find a copy of it. So if any of your listeners have attics filled with their parents' and grandparents' memorabilia, maybe there is a copy somewhere in there of New World, of Neos Cosmos. So, anyway,
and also look for any copies of the Hellenic Chronicle, because we are still missing some. So we've done a national call for that. But pardon me, Manny, for jumping in and saying, taking advantage of the opportunity.
Yes, and again, it's the question that Meletios asked about the influence of Greeks in journalism. Yes, all of a sudden, I discovered that this guy Fasularidis, who was dirt poor, hated to the partisan cause, and died penniless. We don't even know where he's buried in Greece. It's unbelievable. They raised enough money to buy him a ticket, and he went to Greece and died there a few weeks after he got there. And we don't know where he's buried.
Wow, what a history, Manny. And you have that all on your website, right?
Yes, and that particular one, yes, it's on the Boston Boston Greeks site, and the name of the site is First Greeks of Boston, and there is a chapter there about him, and also in the Boston Journalism Trail there is a reference to him as part of Boston journalism. So there is two places where he can be found, but the biggest, most comprehensive part was in the First Greeks of Boston.
And I'm going to guess, just take a wild guess, that you do have the Hellenic Chronicle also on that journalism trail?
No, because it deals with the early part of journalism, not the 20th century part of journalism. It's a different era that one is covering.
Okay, well, you're retired now, so we'll expect you to get right on that, Manny.
Absolutely.
How has retirement been for you, Manny?
Yes.
Very
well, thank you. And I just returned from the most fortunate part of this COVID situation has been that our daughter gave birth to a little boy 10 months ago, so we went to help her out in January for a few weeks, and we stayed 8 months. We just came back last week from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, bringing up our little Nicholas.
Oh,
so it was great.
Wonderful,
yes.
Wonderful news.
So that's what we did. And he kept us sane all these months down in North Carolina.
That's fantastic.
That's incredible.
So that's what I did, Nancy and Meletios.
Good. Well, we hope we can continue to count on your guidance
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
your enthusiasm for this wonderful field of journalism and preservation and our Greek heritage. You've been you're an icon in this community for those of us in this field and beyond, and in the field of teaching. So keep up the good work.
I'm grateful to you and your family for producing that newspaper over the years. It was a link for Greek Americans for a lifetime, and I wish you well with the project.
Thank you so much, Manny.
Thank you.
Take care.
Stay well.
Bye-bye.
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 That was Dr. Manny Paraschos, Professor Emeritus of Journalism from Emerson College in Boston. And we thank you, Manny, for calling in. And it is 9:30. You are tuned to Grecian Echoes on WNTN 1550 AM. We're just going to take a minute to hear from some of our sponsors that keep us on the air, and we'll be right back with you.
Group 5 POS offers free cloud POS software for restaurants and retail stores, free cloud POS software, free setup and installation, free training, free 24/7 remote or telephone support, free software upgrades, low startup costs for hardware. Other terms and conditions apply. Call 1-877-269-1177 for a free demonstration. Again, that's 1-877-269-1177. Group 5 POS, established in 2003.
Σας έχουν λείψει οι μεζέδες και τα φαγητά ελληνικής ταβέρνας? Στο Grecian Diner and Tavern θα βρείτε γύρο, ψητά της ώρας, ψάρια και παραδοσιακά ορεκτικά και φαγητά. Επίσης διαθέτουμε νόστιμα σπιτικά γλυκά και αναλαμβάνουμε και το catering των εκδηλώσεών σας. Είναι ανοιχτό από Δευτέρα έως και Τετάρτη 6 το πρωί με 3 το απόγευμα και από την Πέμπτη έως την Κυριακή από τις 6 το πρωί μέχρι τις 9 το βράδυ. Είναι στο 136 Newbury Street στο Peabody, Route 1 South. Είναι πίσω από το Golf Gas Station.
Το τηλέφωνο 978-554-5990. Grecian Diner, Peabody.
Does your restaurant have a food distributor that provides reliable delivery and prioritizes excellent customer service?
No, I don't. Do you know of one?
You should check out Costas Provisions, a food service distribution company servicing Boston area pizzerias, delis, supermarkets, and more.
Where is Costas located?
They have 3 warehouses located in the Boston area, and Costas promises to provide its clients with the best quality goods, from domestic to specialty products.
I'll be sure to check out Costas today.
For all your food service needs, call Costas Provisions at 617-427-0900.
Contemporary Greek food? Check.
3 locations in Harvard Square, Fenway, and Central Square? Check.
Order online for pickup or for delivery with caviar food delivery? Check.
Gift cards, catering, and private event hosting? Check.
Saloniki Greek, Boston's own humble Greek sandwich shop.
Join 2-time James Beard Award-winning Chef Jody Adams and Eric Papachristos for this culinary experience.
Based around legendary Greek philoxenia. Check us out on Yelp, Saloniki Greek.
Ο δικηγόρος Μανώλης Μεϊμάρης είναι εξειδικευμένος στο μεταναστευτικό δίκαιο, αλλά επίσης εξυπηρετεί πελάτες και με άλλα νομικά θέματα. Ο Μανώλης Μεϊμάρης μιλά άπτεστα τα ελληνικά. Οι νομικές υπηρεσίες που προσφέρει είναι νομιμοποίηση για όσους είναι εκτός νομικού πλαισίου στην Αμερική, μεταναστευτικές βίζες και πράσινες κάρτες για συζύγους και άλλους συγγενείς, βίζες αραβώνα, θέματα ηθαγένειας, βίζες για εργασία, αγορές και πωλήσεις σπιτιών, αγορές και πωλήσεις εστιατορίων, ποτοπολίων και κάθε είδους επιχείρησης, προετοιμασία και σύνταξη διαθήκης και άλλα κληρονομικά θέματα. Τηλεφωνήστε για μια δωρεάν γνωμάτευση και διαβούλευση στον δικό μας Έλληνα δικηγόρο Μανώλη Μεϊμάρη στο 781-636-3636 ή επισκεφτείτε τον διαδικτυακά στο www.meimarislaw.com.
And we're back with Grecian Echoes Mondays with Meleti, celebrating the good news for the Hellenic Chronicle project. We're halfway through our fundraising goal. We have on the line the Consul General of Greece in Boston, Stratos Efthymiou. Kalimera.
Καλημέρα Μελέτη, καλημέρα σε όλους και καλή εβδομάδα, χρόνια πολλά. Σήμερα είναι του Σταυρού, σε όλους τους Σταύρους και βεβαίως γιορτάζει και η Θεολογική Σχολή του Τιμίου Σταυρού. Καλή δύναμη σε όλους.
Ευχαριστούμε. So thank you so much for calling in this morning for this project. And how much longer do you have with us here in Boston? I have to ask.
Well, I once said to somebody who asked me, I hope they will forget me here. And he
I hope
told
the
me
same.
He told me they will never forget you. I think that I have one more year and we'll see. But I have some big news to announce to everybody. Upon my suggestion 1 year ago, the Hellenic Republic took the decision, and now it is public, it is law, it is a presidential decree, to award Governor Michael Dukakis the most important medal of the Hellenic Republic. So this is something very important because we, as Greece, I think we needed to recognize the contributions of this leader of the Greek American community. He's an exceptional man, a great person, and a great politician. And the reason I'm saying this is because who documented all his political course? Who was next to him during all these years? It was the Hellenic Chronicle. This is why this project that we are supporting here is very important, because it has documented the history of our community. All the moments of Dukakis, the history of our churches, the activities of our community. The Hellenic Chronicle was there, and for 50 years, night and day, it documented the living history of probably the most important community of the Greek diaspora, which is the Greek American community, of course, with a focus here in New England, but not only. And I think this is a very praiseworthy initiative. And thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Meleti. Thank you, Ted. Thank you for this great initiative that is really very, very important. And I think it has to be supported by everyone.
Oh, good morning, Stratos. Most people who would know me would say they can't believe I could ever be speechless, but I literally am almost speechless. I am so happy to hear that news about Mike Dukakis. There is no one more worthy of recognition by his mother country, and I literally am speechless. I'm so moved, and I think it's going to be incredibly meaningful to him as it is to all of us who've had the pleasure of working with him and knowing him personally. And this is fantastic news. Fantastic news. So
really
thank you
is.
so much for sharing that with us, and thank you for your support of this project, your support of Alpha Omega, your support of the journalism scholarships, and for all you do. You've had an enormous impact on our community here, and
Well,
personally, you're a joy to work with. So.
Likewise, I'm very happy to have been working with you all this time, and believe me, my time is not limitless, and my energy is not unlimited. So if I supported this project, it's because I thought that each one of these projects was very meaningful. So let's take the scholarships initiative. This is very important because you support a very specific segment of the Greek American community, the journalists of the future. And why is it important? Because we have people in the news. We have a network of around 150 scholars who have been helped from this thing. And I think this is very important because we are following in the way the steps of Peter Agris and the great work he did at the Hellenic Chronicle, which was continued by you, Nancy. And why is it important to have this memory alive? Because in a way we pass the torch. We preserve the identity of our Greek American community. We keep the memory alive. I think the Hellenic Chronicle is one of the things, like the Grecian Echoes, that makes our community one. It brings us together, and I think that we need to preserve this memory because the Hellenic Chronicle cultivated these ties, building and bringing into the surface in a way all the events of the community, the events of the youth, the stories of our church, the professional successes of Greeks. I think, in a way, it wouldn't be an overstatement to say that it is the backbone of the Greek American community in New England. So we need to preserve this memory because it's like the picture, the pictures of our family. We need, and this is a simple thing. We need to just get it done yesterday, not today or tomorrow. And thank you for taking the initiative. I see also the name of Ria Lesad in the team. She's a great person. We have a Greek librarian at Harvard. So when you see that you have a Harvard librarian engaged in this project, it says that this is an important project. It's not something that one guy wanted to do. It is something really meaningful and important. When you have Harvard in a way on board, this is something that adds to the prestige of the initiative, and I think it is very important for everyone to keep it going.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And you just made me recall that I've been remiss at not mentioning the incredible support and work we have received from this project. I can remember, sadly, on the day that I had to make the difficult decision to close the Hellenic Chronicle. The first place I went was to the Archbishop Iakovos Library, and I offered them the hard archive for their special collections. And at that time, it was a young man was just coming into the library who has now been made a bishop, Bishop Joachim.
Right.
And who could not be with us. He wanted to be with us today, but he's with the Archbishop today. But the Archbishop Iakovos Library is a treasure that is not just for the people of Boston, it's for everyone. And it's something that needs more publicity and more recognition for the amazing work that they do in helping to preserve. There's a wonderful woman there who is not Greek and I'm sure is not listening today, but Hillary, who has been with us helping as well. So there are lots of hands at work here making this happen.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing. Nancy, let's take an opportunity to say again that we do have an internship position available. It is an unpaid internship, and there's a chance for someone to learn about archiving, but in particular about OCR, optical character recognition. And we need help in cleaning up the OCR for the newspaper. So let's talk about that and give the address again for where they can make a donation.
The address for making a donation is to the Alpha Omega Council, memo line, the Hellenic Chronicle Digitization Project, P.O. Box 752, Foxborough, Mass. 02035.
This has been a wonderful program. Strato, thank you so much for calling in and saying such nice words of the importance of this project. We hope that people do step up. Nick Ypsilantis from the Alpha Omega Council, any final words here?
Thank you, and Kalimera, Consul General. He is the Energizer Bunny. The impact he's had on the community here has been profound. I can't even go to. It's been a pleasure to work with him, and this project again is so important. That's why the Alpha Omega Council got behind it. We're the first to make the major donation and to seed this project. Let's finish this. Let's not let this stop. This needs to continue.
And μπράβο, θα το πω στα ελληνικά, μπράβο και στο Alpha Omega Council, το οποίο μάλιστα ιδρύθηκε από τον Peter Agris για αυτή την μεγάλη υποστήριξη στο Hellenic Chronicle. Μια τελευταία γραμμή. Είναι πολύ σημαντικό το ότι η ελληνική πολιτεία θα δώσει ένα παράσημο στον Μάικλ Δουκάκη και είναι σημαντικό, το λέω γιατί ήταν το Hellenic Chronicle που ήταν κάθε στιγμή δίπλα στο Μάικλ Δουκάκη. Ήταν αυτή η μεγάλη εφημερίδα που μπόρεσε και αποτύπωσε και κατέγραψε και έκανε αναφορά όλες τις ιστορίες, τις μικρές και τις μεγάλες της ελληνικής κοινότητας. Θέλω όλοι να τη στηρίξουν για να μπορέσουμε να κρατήσουμε τη μνήμη αυτής της κοινότητας ζωντανή. Βοηθήστε αυτό το εγχείρημα. Να είστε καλά όλοι.
One question, can you share any details on, obviously Mike has been informed of this, how will this presentation be done? I'm sure virtually, but
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm trying to do whatever. It took me a lot of time to organize it, and I'm trying to do it at the highest political or diplomatic level. So I have invited the ambassador, but also I have engaged a high official from the foreign ministry. We will. It will not be able to be something for more than 2 or 3 persons. This is the thing, because as you know, the governor had some issues with his health recently, so it has to be something really He has, but we will have details soon. But it's something really important that is not obvious. I mean, and when I came here, I asked, have we, honored this person? I mean, not as Alpha Omega or as church or as Greece. Have we ever said, well, we appreciate your personal itinerary, your personal. And when I realized that there was an opportunity, I tried to pull the strings, and here we are. I think it was the feedback was very enthusiastic, and Greece is in time. We have already decided it is public, and I think it's the first time that I announce it publicly at Grecian Echoes. And the governor has already spoken with the ambassador, also with the deputy foreign minister, Mr. Vlasis. So in a matter of weeks or months, we will also do the official ceremony. But it is low, so Greece officially recognized him. So this is the most important thing, and it is important as we speak about the Dukakis to think of what was the medium that covered all this political activity, and the most important newspaper of the Greek American community was the Hellenic Chronicle, and this is whichever subject we pick, the Hellenic Chronicle is involved and reported. So this is what I wanted to stress, and thank you for this great effort to preserve the memory of the community alive.
Thank you, Stratos. Stay well, please. We need you.
All the best.
And I hope they do forget you're here.
All the best. All the best.
All right.
Kalimera.
Kalimera.
Okay, you are tuned to Grecian Echoes, WNTN 1550 AM in Boston. Thank you very much, Nick and Nancy, for this great program. Thank you to the people who have called in. Special thank you to those individuals and organizations that have donated. Please support us here, the Hellenic Chronicle Project, preserving and celebrating over 50 years of Greek American history.